Welcome. You're listening to Coffee Break with Purdue Engineering, a podcast production from the Office of Future Engineers at Purdue University. In this podcast series, we discuss the many programs, majors, and opportunities found in Purdue Engineering through conversational interviews with staff, faculty, alumni, and current students. We hope you enjoy our show and it helps answer some of your questions about what it's like to be an engineering student at Purdue. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Kelci. Where are you from?
I'm from in Indianapolis.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
you're right in your backyard then.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, what are some of your favorite hobbies?
I like to run and read. I've been trying to get into video games, but I think I annoy every person I play with. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I just kind of like to hang out with my dog. I love going to coffee shops.
What kind of dog?
It's a standard poodle. He's a standard poodle.
Oh.
Yeah. He's a baby.
Adorable.
Yes.
The dogs are the best.
Yeah.
Love dogs.
Yes.
We're actually both runners too.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Very nice.
Did you run in high school or?
I did. I ran
Okay.
cross country, Southport
Okay.
High School. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cross country and track, but
Distance and
cross-country,
track when
yeah.
if you're doing cross country, you're doing the distance.
Track was
of
just
it,
like
so
a
track.
necessary thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me it was opposite. Cross country was a necessary thing for
Really?
track. Yeah.
What did you run in track?
I ran
then?
an 800. Yeah.
Just thinking about that.
I did the 800 mile, 2 mile,
Okay.
and then cross country.
Yeah.
I went into high school thinking, I'm going to do cross country to train for track because in middle school I was a sprinter.
Oh.
400
really?
meters was too far.
Really?
And then
That's
it ended up
fascinating.
switching.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever been like, I want to run like 400 or less. like the 800 was just too fast.
The 800's
Yeah.
pretty brutal.
It was pretty
Yeah.
brutal. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I do marathons
Oh, cool.
mostly.
I do like minis, but
Okay.
haven't done marathon yet. Like
Nice.
Yeah.
Good half marathon.
Yes. To me, that's like a happy medium right
Yep,
now.
yep.
You know? Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
What initially drew you to come here to the urban campus?
Yeah. So one thing that I liked about this campus was its location. So
Yeah.
because I'm from the city, I like just being closer to my family without like living with them.
Yeah.
So I liked being able to get out of the house and like of my neighborhood, but still be close enough that like I could still like go home and like eat dinner with
Yeah.
them and go do things. And obviously like there's still like a lot of things in the city.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the major draw for me. And there's like a medical school close by too. Because at first I thought I wanted to do pre-med, which changed very quickly. But
Okay.
that was like another big thing was just being like so close
Yeah.
to the medical school campus.
Awesome. Well, welcome to this week's episode where we're going to be discussing Purdue's Biomedical Engineering. You might hear us refer to it as BME on the podcast. We'll try not to use the acronyms, but they're ingrained in our society. I'm one of your hosts, Calvin Given, a current grad student in electrical engineering from Lakewood, Colorado. So I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from home, unlike you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm your other host, Bryan and Akinmade. I'm a sophomore in electrical engineering, and I'm from Miami, Florida. And some things I'm involved with on campus are the National Society of Black Engineers, the Minority in Engineering program, and I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And this week we were joined by Kelci Malloy.
And so what are you involved in on campus? Like
Yeah.
what would you give how would you introduce yourself to
Okay.
say a prospective
Yeah.
student?
So my name is Kelci. I'm a senior in Biomedical Engineering, which, as you say, is BME, and I will try not to use that, but that is so hard.
Yeah, it's okay if you do.
I'm also minoring in mathematics, because that's a very easy minor to get with an engineering degree.
Yep, an extra class or two.
Yeah. I'm in the Honors College, Tau Beta Pi, and also in the Leading Women Towards Space Careers program that's at Purdue with Honors College.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're very involved.
Yeah. I mean, I try to be. Definitely, I do prioritize like a work-life balance.
Yeah.
So I was not as like I feel like I like I'm kind of the opposite of a lot of people. Like I wasn't as involved my first couple years because I was just trying to like get the academics down. And then once I realized like, okay, I can handle this and like how to balance, then I was like, okay, what else can I do?
Yeah, and that's really important. It's important to be a student outside of the studies for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
kind of how would you describe BME? And you can kind of go into terms like the concentrations and different pathways that students may take.
Yeah, so in BME, it's pretty like broad, I would say, because you can do so many things with it. So here at Purdue, we have concentrations in biomechanics, materials like biomaterials, computational, like biomedical engineering, biology. We also have signals and instrumentation. So there's like a pretty broad range. So I think most people can find like what fits them best, and also like including tissue engineering. So there's those are like the concentrations that we have here, and really you can go with any of those degrees. You can go into like industry or research.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, and so where do you want to potentially end up? Do you have a plan or a goal in mind as you're graduating in May?
Yes, I have somewhat of a plan. So my depth area is signals and instrumentation.
Okay.
So I really liked my signals class, and I can talk about that later. But so right now, when I graduate, I will be going into a master's program and doing like the 4+1.
Okay,
Awesome.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I'm a grad student right now. I'm doing the
Yes.
4+1 for electrical and computer engineering.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess how did you decide to pursue BME? I know you said in your first year or two you were interested in pre-med, but how did that kind of change and what led you to where you are today?
Yeah, so when I first started school, I was a biology major because I loved science and biology. Thought I wanted to do pre-med. And then after my first semester, I very quickly realized that I want more math. Like, I want more challenging math.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just kind of thought, like, I feel like I can be challenged more in terms of, like, math and, like, technical skills. And I very quickly switched to BME. I don't know if I knew quite how much math I was getting myself into. But so that's how I started. So when I first started my engineering degree, I thought I would do more like tissue engineering and do more of that really like biological like application. And then I took some very technical classes and realized that I liked like circuits and signals and things like that. So without BME for me, like I probably would have no idea that I liked some of the like electrical side of things because I thought I just wanted to do very like biology focused.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Electricity and all that stuff.
That's
You're
right
speaking
down
our
the road.
language.
Yep,
That's
I
right
love
up
it.
our
I
alley.
love it.
And then what I know you said your signals course was one of your favorite BME courses. Do you want to talk a little bit about why that was your favorite or any other favorite courses that you have?
Yeah. So my signals class was my favorite class for a couple different reasons. One, the professor. So my class was taught by Dr. Alfrey here at the Indianapolis campus, and she, I mean, is one of the best professors ever. Like, she's just very nice and patient and understanding, and I love to ask questions. So I love any professor that, you know, shows that they just like will always take questions.
Yeah.
So, and I think she was just so enthusiastic about it that it's hard to not feel the same way.
That's really good to see. That's
Yeah,
what I want to see in
it's
a
really
professor.
cool to see professors that are so passionate about what you're teaching.
Yes.
I had a digital signal processing professor last semester who was very much like that.
Really?
He always made me so excited about going to class
That's
and
awesome.
about learning the material because he was so excited about it.
That's
and, you
awesome.
know, he was also a good professor.
Yeah.
And you can tell those are the professors that like they want everyone to succeed as best as they can. Yeah.
And I feel like I recognize that. So when a professor wants that, like I feel more like engaged of, okay, like I will try my hardest because you're trying your hardest. So, and it's a funny story because I also took digital signals last semester. And I also had a great professor, but what a hard class. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
But are there any other classes that you thought were really cool, interesting, niche that you just thought was a great opportunity that you had?
Yeah, I think in terms of my classes here, we kind of get a fun mix of like our mechanics classes. We do pretty basic mechanics or like classical mechanics problems, and then we'll have problems that kind of tie into like parts of like the body and things. So I think overall, like our classes here, we do a pretty good mix of like learning the general fluid mechanics or other type of engineering problems, and then they try to apply it to the body.
Yeah.
So I think in that way, like there were a lot of aspects of all of my classes that I enjoyed, you know?
Yeah.
I also enjoyed fluid mechanics because we spend a lot of time learning the foundation, and then we take a closer look at what's happening in like arteries and things, and you know, the difference between like veins and arteries, and like why you get certain clots in like very specific places. And so I think it's really interesting because we do like apply it to like body problems.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess my next question, kind of in terms like internship co-ops, have you been able to have any opportunities in BME, or do you know any other students in like their experience?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have friends that have interned at Eli Lilly. So
It's a big name,
of course,
big name at
Big
Purdue.
building
Yes.
we saw earlier today.
Yes. And I have interned, or I've had several projects and jobs at the medical school. So
Okay.
I worked in like a musculoskeletal lab.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yes, doing like bone research and mechanics and things. So that was honestly very fun. Like that was a whole year of, you know, scanning mice, but also testing like bones to see if there's a difference in densities and things. So I did that for a year, and then I'm now at the radiochemistry. There's a radiochemistry department at the medical school.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so I am very involved in like the medical school research and
Yeah.
things, and that's been a lot of fun, I think. And then I also did a summer program here where we did like a biomedical engineering like clinical like immersion program. So we went to different hospitals and clinics. We shadowed different specialties, and at the end we had like a very, very small design project.
Okay.
And so that was a really good like engineering BME, like learn how BME like applies like in the hospitals, and how can we like identify gaps, and like how do you like design things basically.
Yeah, and were
So
these
that's good.
hospitals like in the area?
Yes.
Oh,
So
that's
so we
awesome.
went to Riley, I'm like blanking on the other ones, but we went to Riley
Yep.
and a bunch of other hospitals and clinics. But it was, I feel like I shadowed like at least 5 specialties.
Wow.
At least. So yeah, it was a lot, like including surgery,
And that's
like
also
like
true.
orthopedic surgery.
It's all been in the area, so you guys can get to it
Yes.
easily. Whereas
Yep.
like when we're in
Yeah.
West Lafayette, you definitely gonna have to take a drive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what exactly do you do in the, I'm going to get it wrong, but radiological chemistry department?
Yeah. So I don't do a lot of chemistry, which is
Okay.
good. But yeah, so at the radiochemistry lab, they are basically making the PET tracers. So if you guys know what PET imaging is, it tends to be like the imaging. It looks like an MRI machine. But the scans where they have like things light up. So you inject patients with the PET tracer, which
Okay.
helps basically show certain conditions or physiological stuff and parts of the body, right? Like if you're looking
Yeah.
for cancers, you want like a PET tracer that highlights that cancer and then nothing else. So there's a lot of research going into how do you make a PET tracer for something very specific. And what I kind of do is like I help fill the gaps of when researchers need certain things to like trying to think of like a good example, but I help fill the gaps of things that they don't have. Like what can I make that can help them do their job easier? Because basically the challenge is when things are radioactive, like you don't want to touch it. So how do you do things without touching it? And so I try to like help build things, 3D print things, like design things, automate things, stuff
Awesome.
like that. Yeah.
And so that's something along the lines of like fluorescent imaging,
Yeah.
essentially?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That's really cool. I actually did research in that last semester.
Oh, really?
With a professor. Yeah, he was trying to image deep in the brain, though.
Ah,
And
that's hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very hard.
I don't know
He's-
enough, but I know enough to know that the brain is hard because of like how
Yep.
much glucose and things.
It's very dense.
Yes,
And so,
yes.
yeah, he was trying to use some fluorescent labels to track protein spread for diseases like Parkinson's
Oh, cool.
and stuff like that, where you can't actually really currently find out what the trajectory is and how it progresses. They just kind of inject the mouse with the disease and then look at it after it's spread 13 weeks later, and you don't really know what happened in that in-between stage. So that's really cool.
Okay,
You're
wow.
working on that too.
Yeah. What I like too is that I'm involved without being too deep in the chemistry.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's fun because I'm kind of learning from a different perspective. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know we kind of talked about research and like different products you've done. Have there been any clubs you've been a part of that kind of like BME oriented or like kind of helped you towards your major or anything?
Yeah, we do have a BME society club here, so I do show up to those, especially when my schedule like allows it.
Yeah.
So those are fun. Like usually I like to go to like the game night and things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's kind of it.
Yeah.
I just kind of like to hang out.
That's
Awesome. Yeah, and then I guess circling back kind of to the coursework, are there labs that you guys are taking, and maybe what's one of your favorite labs that you've taken, or an interesting one?
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting labs we took here is an implantable materials lab. So we learn a lot about different types of materials like ceramics and hydrogels, but we learned how to make them. So we would make them ourselves, and we would test them, and we would look at basically how porous it is or how strong it is. And that was just very cool to actually like get your hands kind of dirty and see like what the process is.
Yeah.
And how many steps, and when you have to let things kind of sit overnight. So that's kind of fun, I think.
That's really cool. Sounds like a very interesting lab.
Yeah.
It's blending both material science and biomedical engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess, so I know you were talking earlier about how you've done a good job about having a work-life balance. So I think it's safe to assume that you are a person outside of being a student. What does that entail for you?
Yeah, it entails a lot of, I think, scheduling. So like a lot of planning, but I like to make plans with my friends and my family, and I like put it on the calendar so I can like get school done before then. But I like just hanging out with my friends. Because I have a friend that we just like to go coffee shop jumping
that's awesome.
frequently. So I definitely prioritize sleep. So
Sleep's important.
yes, yeah.
Yep.
So I try to get all of my homework done by a certain time so I can like go to bed.
Yeah.
And I know you are from the Indianapolis area, but do you like being on this campus and being able to go to, I guess, places from your childhood and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I do like to kind of just like visit places, and I do like to go to like shows. So like we have a lot of like off-Broadway shows coming through here.
Wow, yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And then I guess, do you go to any of the sporting events? I know the Colts Stadium and the Pacers Stadium are real close. Do you take advantage of that?
I wish I was more into football and sports. I do like hockey, but that's not really downtown, I guess. It's a little bit of a drive. But the state fair is close, I
What's
think.
the state
like
fair?
the state
Yeah.
fairground?
Okay.
Do you
What
guys
do they
not
do
know
there?
What do you mean?
No,
What do they do
I've never
there?
been to the state fairground.
I know what a state fairground is, but clearly.
Someone enlighten me, please.
Well, it's where they have like the state fair, like every year.
They have like the.
We don't really have those
You've
in
been here
Colorado.
for how long? You don't have state
4 years.
fairs?
I don't know.
Come on.
If we
They
have
have, like,
state
the-
fairs, I've never
They
been.
have like the wheel. They have a bunch of like little
like
rides. and
Ferris
stuff.
wheels?
Yeah, it's like that.
Oh, like a pop-up, like a carnival.
This isn't a
Yeah, state fairgrounds.
Like a, okay.
okay.
The closest thing
Good
I
clip.
know about
It's a great clip.
Closest thing I know about that I remember from
Yeah.
Colorado was they have cider days at our local fairgrounds, not the state one.
That is so cute.
But you go and you can make your own apple cider, and they've got tractor pulls and
Yeah.
petting zoos, and
Okay.
you can
Yeah,
ride
something very
things.
similar
It's like
to
that,
Okay.
but
It's
it
like a
lasts for
pop-up.
weeks.
Weeks. Oh wow,
It's like
That's cool.
It's like a month or two. At least the ones I've been to.
that's really cool. Maybe I got to go to that.
You should. You should. That's so funny.
Yeah. Okay. Got it on my list.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah, but I guess
Good.
my next question for
Yeah.
you is, how has Purdue satisfied like your love for BME, and how has it kind of helped you with like your career path and planning your future?
Yeah, I think because I didn't really know what BME was going into it, and
Yeah.
obviously I started out as a biology major, so I had definitely like no idea. So I think Purdue definitely like obviously gave me the opportunity to study and learn about BME, which is something I didn't do before. So that at first is like a very like great opportunity, and then just going through all of the classes, I really started to appreciate what BME is and then like what it could be. So I think that there's so many ways that BME is used in our world, right? Because it's research and it's an industry, but it's not always medical devices, right? It's like pharmaceuticals. It's like anything that people use. It could be anything for like human health. So it's really such a wide range, and I had no idea like going into it. So I definitely appreciate it more, and I can definitely like see its application like throughout like the world.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I assume you you think it prepared you pretty well going into that +1 of graduate school?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, BME, like any engineering major, is tough.
Yeah.
But I think that it really did show me that I can like learn anything. So it's just a matter of like, what do I want to learn in like graduate school? And I like signals, so I'm like, how do I kind of go in that direction? But there's so much you can do with BME.
Yeah, you made a good point. Engineering degrees are not easy, but there's a ton of resources around campus to help you succeed if you're struggling, right?
Absolutely. And I think that your classmates are such a great resource too. We have several like class chats and like group texts, and that's been really helpful. Like if someone's struggling, we can like reach out, or we can like encourage each other. We can meet up and like form groups. And I think my class in particular, like we are just very close knit.
Yeah.
So we can kind of go to anyone in the class, and we're all like very helpful.
Yeah.
And I guess a little bit more on resources. How does that look like on the Indianapolis campus? Do you feel like you have all the resources you need, and whenever you have questions, like besides the professors, like any TAs you can ask and like reach out to?
Yeah. I think we do get a lot of like one-on-one time here. So like with our professors and with our TAs, with other students, and like with upperclassmen too. So like a lot of freshmen, sophomores, like we see them. And so that's something that we've always used is not just going to our professors' office hours, but just approaching TAs and then upperclassmen. We do have a BME like student lounge here, so only BME students get access to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so sometimes like if you go in working on homework, there'll be like other students that have previously taken the class that you can ask for help. And I think that that's a big resource and something unique that we have.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds like a great community of students on the campus that you can actually interact with and get help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all your insights today, Kelci. We're really glad to have you on the podcast. And I guess one last question for you is, what piece of advice could you give to an incoming student that's looking at Purdue Engineering?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like apply, because I think that this is a great school, right?
Yep.
No matter what type of engineering that you're going into, but I would say that for my story, like it's okay if you go in thinking that you maybe like one type of engineering and you change your mind, or maybe like you go in not sure what type of engineering and you kind of wonder like, should I even do engineering? Because I don't even know what I like. Like I think that's a common thing that I struggled with, is that it's okay. Like you'll belong somewhere, and it's okay like if you pick something and then decide to kind of focus more in other areas later on, because the important part is that no matter what, like you'll get like a foundation, and just to keep like the big picture, like I think in your head.
Yeah, awesome. That's great advice, I'd say. And so I guess that concludes this week's episode. As always, please reach out to the Office of Future Engineers if you have any other questions.
Yep, and we'll see you guys next week.